Hello, everybody. I am Donna M. Ross, and there's a huge crime wave occurring in the United States and around the world involving an incredibly bizarre, very amazingly advanced new weapon. A lot of people are being murdered. It attacks people right through the walls of their home. And I'm going to teach you about this weapon. This is an expose, and in return, I'll just tell you the reason I know about the weapon and everything about it is that I was engaged to the world famous cutting edge high-tech CEO, Fred Kavli, Kavli, of the Kavli Foundation, the Kavli Prize for Sciences, and I've been fighting for my life against a male stalker who's been is actually slowly murdering me with a weapon ever since seeing me in 1999, drove by me and saw me. And you can't get away from it. It locks onto you. I'll teach you all about the weapon here. And then I'm going to be producing a series of videos that you can find on YouTube and on this website to teach you about the weapon and to give you all the scientific and military proof so that you too can become very knowledgeable about it, and you can start to realize how much danger everyone's life is in because the police and FBI aren't doing anything about this new crime wave. But Fred Kavli identified for me what it is that this particular stalker is using to destroy my life, rob me of everything, and slowly murder me. And there's no danger to anyone around me, which you'll learn. So don't worry about that. There are about 200 people that have been helping me along the way, doing the research, who've been friends or whatever, that can vouch for you that this is a new computer weapon. It can be made to lock onto you. It's like an invisible laser beam. They can do things to humans that will just absolutely shock you. But then, like me, most of you, all good people out there, will become furious with people in government payroll for not doing something about this crime wave, because in 2007, Fred Kavli identified for me what it is that this particular stalker is using, and to slowly murder me. And I went with another high-level scientist as a witness to the FBI and informed them and asked them to do something. And they just brushed it off, and they said it wasn't their job. Technically, it's not their job to have to do something about this new crime wave. And they left me to be slowly murdered and everything stolen from me and my business destroyed. And the story is told in the other videos that you'll be finding on our website, helpsavebeverlyhillsprincess.com, and on our YouTube channel. And how many government people we've alerted along the way about this huge crime wave. You can, like us, you'll be absolutely furious that these people on government payroll are being so irresponsible. It's like criminal neglect of their responsibilities, which you'll be different Congress people, the senators, a lot of Congress people, a lot of senators. They've all proven to be so immature and just so immature and so irresponsible. It doesn't matter what party they're in. You'll join us in clobbering these people. What I'm going to ask you is, when the FBI didn't come to my rescue, I had to do the research into the weapon, trying to find someone in the country that could protect me from this stalker. And as a result, as the years went by, while I was being slowly murdered, kidnapped away from my growing children, robbed of every single penny, starving to death, and I'm usually a very huge earner, into the 6 figures per month, but everything was stolen from me by the stalker, and even a prior male was using this on me during the 90s, that 1985 to 1999. It's a long story. My story is told in the other videos, but I'm just going to ask you to make sure that I'm rescued. Clobber California's Governor Jerry Brown and Dianne Feinstein, the senator, and Barbara Boxer, the senator, and the Congresswoman Lois Capps, those 4 people in California. What you can do to in return for me giving you all this information about this weapon and warning you about it and teaching you about it. Everything I teach you about it, I had to learn on my own, and it was so hard. Fred told me some things about it, but in return, I'm going to beg you to make sure that you, from around the world, everybody please call that Jerry Brown and these people, Dianne Feinstein, Barbara Boxer, and Lois Capps, and insist that they rescue me now, because there are no government programs to catch you or to rescue you if a high-tech stalker destroys your businesses and robs you of everything. This weapon is being sold to the government for $1 billion a year. I'm being slowly murdered by, Fred told me. And they've all said it isn't their job to do something about the crime wave, nor to rescue me from this ordeal I'm in where it's a long story. I won't tell my story in this video, but that's what I'm asking in return for me educating you all about this weapon and the crime wave, and in organizing this new movement that we're calling Stop High-Tech Crime. We have a Facebook page we've set up, but the website helpsavebeverlyhillsprincess.com is where you'll find the videos and my story and how to contact us, and if you can donate, it helps save my life. I've almost died along the way. It's the fault of these people in government for not doing their jobs and rescuing me, that I couldn't come forward earlier. Okay, if I go off track a little bit, it's part of the nature of what's being done to me. I'm going to make this video an hour. That's my goal, to produce a series of videos. This one is about the crime wave. I'll teach you here. I'm going to tell you about the weapon here, and then you can look at the other videos. There's a video that we produced about the technology and the history. Very simple English to explain to you about how this weapon can do to you, what I'm going to be telling you it can do. And so you can go to the other videos, and we produced a video about why war when our country has this weapon. You know, we have really big contacts where we've obtained the answers to these things so we can help prevent wars. When you hear what this weapon can do to humans, you're all going to be asking, how can we have a war when our country has this weapon? So just look on our YouTube channel and on our website, and we'll continue to produce videos as we can, as I'm able to, around the attacks on myself by this $1 billion weapon of the government. Billion, B as in boy. Anyway, and I won't make it much longer if you all don't listen to my story and make sure that you clobber Jerry Brown into rescuing me. If they can make this stalker a billionaire and his company for selling the weapon to our government, they can find a way to rescue me. But my story, I'll just tell it very briefly here. It'll be told in more detail in another video. Strictly my story. But I just want you to know I'm not going to make it through the end of this year, 2014, if the country and the world don't make sure I'm rescued. Anyway, in 2007, I asked Fred, I went to Fred to ask him for advice about what was being done to me by this horrible invisible laser beam that was attacking me. And a lot of you out there are aware of this, and some of you are thinking, I don't know anything about this. You can look on the internet and see how many people are complaining about being attacked or their relatives by something that they're calling an electronic weapon, and there'd be electronic weapon. And this is in other countries besides the United States. They're calling it an electronic weapon, and they're behaving very oddly, and you may think that they're crazy, but this weapon can actually alter humans' behavior because of the technology that was invented, supercomputers. I'll be explaining this a little bit at a time. Our bodies are electrical and chemical, and the high-tech industry has a huge weapon side to it that we don't know about, the public doesn't know about, and we assume that the government would be organized enough to be keeping an eye on that industry and to protect the public from any dangerous weapons that it might be inventing? Wrong. Wrong. Through my research into it, I found that there is absolutely no government regulation of the high-tech industry, and there never has been. So I don't want to go into too much detail in this video. I'm just going to tell you that when I asked Fred, I went to him for advice and to ask him, to tell him what was happening, this horrible thing that was being done to me in 2007, and so painful, something horrible and invisible. And I'm from California, and I'm from basically, you can think of it as Beverly Hills, and Fred listened to me for about 45 seconds. He interrupted me, he leaned forward, and he said, "You are being attacked by an extremely advanced new high-tech weapon that our government, United States government, has been buying for military reasons for $1 billion a year. What you're being attacked by through the roof of your home is $1 billion a year weapon that the government has been buying from the high-tech industry for military reasons." And he said it's extremely advanced, and he told me a few other things about it, that it's able to beam humans by satellite, and it's able to alter what they're seeing and hearing and experiencing. It can beam up to satellites and down again to the other side of the world. It's able to rearrange the electrons in the brains of the enemy soldiers and cause them to turn around and shoot their own men. And it's able to beam the hearing region of their brain and cause them to no longer hear the reality around them, but to actually be made to hear a virtual, it's like a virtual reality that is experienced for them, where they're made to hear the voice of God, for example, telling them, "My son, lay down your weapon." He told me a few other things about it, and then he added that my chances of ever getting free of this particular stalker are not good in my lifetime. What I haven't told you yet is that Fred Kavli, at that time, 2007, was one of the 8 or 9 science and technology advisors to President George W. Bush, who was in office then. Fred and I had been a committed couple during the late 1990s. And then this particular stalker drove by me, and he actually used the weapon to kidnap me away from everything that I loved, because the weapon can actually, you won't believe what's been invented, but I don't want to take too long. This has already been 13 minutes. So this crime wave, you're going to find, as I teach you about this weapon, you're going to realize that all these mass shootings, these young men that are being accused of committing mass shootings in our country, the United States, and perhaps in other countries around the world, are not committing the mass shooting. It's actually someone in technology who is out there beaming law-abiding young men and causing them to commit mass shootings and then get blamed for it. And you'll realize that some of the other crimes that are being committed, mothers that are being, everyone's been saying, talking in the United States, wondering what is going on with parents leaving their children in hot cars. Recently, here it is July 2014, and there's been a spate of parents of young children, babies to 2 years old, in that range. Parents where often the neighbors said, "Oh, but he was such a devoted father. He was such a nice person. They were a nice couple. How could they have done this?" Somebody in technology is very sick and is out there doing that. When you hear what the weapon can do, you're going to understand this is a new sick. It's a new fetish. And I'll explain to you what else they get out of it. We're in a new era with the invention of this weapon. I forgot to give you the name of it, that Fred told me in 2007 when he leaned forward and he told me, he said that it's the official classified military name of the weapon is robotics. Robotics. And it's ROBOTICS. It's the official classified military name. And if I go off track, it's because of the nature of the sabotage of myself and my life by this really immature, very bizarre-looking little creep that's been harming me with it ever since seeing me in 1999. So my resume is big time. But I'm having such a problem with males and technology using this weapon on me because of what else it can do. It's a new fetish for them. It can do a lot more to humans and to them than I've told you yet. So back to the parents leaving their children in hot cars, and the children perish. They die from the hot cars. The mothers this past year there's been a rash of mothers of growing children driving their children into the ocean, taking their car and just driving right into the ocean, the East Coast and the West Coast. Mothers shooting their children. Mothers doing really bad things to their children and then being sent to jail, and the children being taken away, or all the horrible things that go along with that. When you hear the story of how long we've been alerting the FBI and the police in California, and even the head of the FBI, and every possible government employee, congresspeople and senators of every party around the nation, Jerry Brown, the governor in California, different Washington, D.C. agencies, we have done nothing since 2007 except work on trying to get somebody in government to do something about this crime wave and about the slow murder of myself and the terrible danger my life is in due to being slowly murdered and everything robbed from me, my home and my rentals, all my money. I'm being slowly murdered. This person's using the weapon to destroy my face, which you're going to understand as you learn about the weapon. We're in a new era with the invention of this weapon. Robotics. I have all the technology, but you're going to be so angry when you hear all the people on government payroll who we've alerted to this crime wave and who've all said, it's not my job, every single one of them. And so you can blame all the deaths that have occurred and all the tragedies and all the enormous heartbreak and distress that has occurred since summer of 2007 was when I went to the FBI on the coast of California, the town of, it was the nearest office at that point for me was Ventura, California. But I also talked to the FBI in Long Beach. I also talked to the U.S. Attorney General. They gave me to their criminal division attorney. They all said it's not our job to do anything yet about this. The nation's laws have to change first before it's really our job to do anything about the fact that the government's own billion-dollar weapon is being used by some of the people producing it to actually attack and murder law-abiding citizens. So go away. Anyway, I don't want to take too long in this video. Now you know, now you're starting to be aware that people are being blamed in our country for committing crimes that actually are being committed by high-tech workers with this incredibly bizarre new weapon that their industry invented. And you're thinking, how could this be? Some of you are saying, not possible. It's a new era. what I learned through my research into it is that it's a supercomputer nanotechnology weapon, that the supercomputers of the space era, that supercomputers made the space era possible, and satellites were put into space in the late 1950s, and the space program was revving up by 1960, and because that high-tech industry is not regulated by the government has no idea what these people are inventing, and frankly, they don't care. I'm sorry to tell all of you. I'm going to tell you very quickly about my background. I'm an honors graduate from California Polytechnic State University in San Luis Obispo, California, which is one of the top colleges in the world for engineering, architecture, and agriculture. And I graduated with essentially a double major in business and in a field of science and technology that's related to agriculture. And I was national finance chairperson for all the colleges in the nation when I was 19, and they voted me to a higher position the next year, and when I was 21. And these are the colleges: Cornell, University of Michigan, University of Hawaii, University of Alaska, University of California at Davis, on and on and on and on. Also 3 colleges in Canada that had our major, male-dominated, heavy industry major. They voted me to be their president. Science and technology, heavy industry, male-dominated major when I was 21. All these colleges, all the students, and they all voted me to be their president. And I also attended college elsewhere, abroad, foreign country. I was on the school council, been on many committees. I've been the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce. I don't want to take time here to tell you about my background, but just to establish credibility, I was often the only person in college to earn A's, say, on the engineering final. These were fellows from all over the world that went there for the engineering courses, and I was in there. This is at the forefront of the women's movement, and I was in there, and in heavy classes. And but my life, because I'm a female, has been destroyed by high-tech males repeatedly using this weapon, one after the other, to beam into my home and to do really bad things to my life. And I'm going to tell my story in another video. But we need to all be aware that this weapon exists, because it's actually it can do way more than what I'm telling you. There's a sexual aspect to it. So I just was giving you a little bit about my background. I'm telling you about this weapon. And my father was one of the heads of the Republican Party for the county of Los Angeles as I grew up. We lived there for a number of years, not too long, but some years. And anyway, I'm not going to go into anything else about my background. You can, if you're curious, you can listen to other videos about it. I just wanted you to know, as I tell you about this weapon, okay, that it's all very reliable in the story. But anyway, so I told you what I learned about the weapon by researching it. I was frantically begging everybody in government to come to my rescue because I couldn't earn money under these attacks of this billion-dollar weapon, and they didn't care. And by the way, there are people that are very high in our nation that have known me for decades, who will be able to vouch for this. And my mother, remember, my father was one of the heads of the Republican Party for the county of Los Angeles as I grew up, and my parents were invited to every single presidential inauguration as I grew up. And my mother has written a notarized "To Whom It May Concern" letter verifying that what I've told you, that I am being stalked and targeted by a crazy, bizarre person from technology who's been using this weapon to destroy me and my life and rob me of everything ever since, and try to destroy my excellent reputation starting in 1999 when he first drove by me. You can find that letter on our website. So anyway, okay, everybody, it's now been 24 minutes, and I'm going to have to just quickly tell you about this weapon. Everyone's being attacked by it. The technology and history is in the other videos on our website. Basically, what it is that is that it's able to, our brains have different functional regions, and everybody's brain is different, and sickos in technology came up with this weapon so that they can actually, and by the way, I also learned that there's inadequate government regulation of how high-tech companies use or misuse their satellite time in our country, in the United States. There's only lip service paid. Nobody monitors, and they have never monitored how high-tech companies and their workers use or misuse satellite time. And that's how they came up with this invention. Shortly after the space program started, I could go on for hours explaining all this to you, but I just want you all to be aware that people are being blamed for crimes that they're not committing. And everybody in government possible has been informed about this. We've given them all the scientific and military proof. Our files are 6 feet thick now, filled with all the military and scientific proof of this weapon. And we have emails, letters, some recordings. We have proof that we've let all these people know about this crime wave starting in 2010. And they literally do not care. These are really, really, really irresponsible people in there. There's no dad in there, we found out. We're just a high school class running the country, and we can explain that more, what we learned. Because of my positions I've held, I've also served much higher positions through my career. I'm pretty qualified to be able to tell you all there's no dad in there. There's no dad in government. We're just a high school class running the country. And our classmates that are on government payroll in there, that are in these jobs that they're supposed to be responsible for things like this, and they tell us verbally that they care when they're out there talking to your groups or they're in front of a TV camera. I've been a TV anchor person for a Fox station, a little Fox station. These people run to be in front of the TV camera, but the reality is that there are high school classmates, and they are they're not doing their jobs, and they haven't cared at all about this crime wave, and they've left everybody to be blamed for crimes they're not committing and for the crimes to go on. And so I'm just warning all of you about this, and also that you're not safe in your home anymore, because this weapon, a lot of high-tech people have access to it. A lot of high-tech companies have it, and and the sick ones are out there beaming into houses, comes right through the roof of your home, and it can rip the arms right off of your body. It can pop your heart, and you're feeling afraid. I'm going to tell you, stay calm. Just join us in calling all the different senators and in your state and your Congress people, and I mean immediately, and you tell them that you're going to vote them and their party out of office if they don't instantly do something about this. We've alerted Homeland Security to the fact that American citizens are being attacked and murdered through the roof of their homes, through the walls of their home, by high-tech workers with this new weapon that the government is buying from their industry for $1 billion a year, and they sniggered. And we can provide some recordings of these things. Things are not what we think in these offices, everybody. You know that approval for Congress is down to 10% right now in the United States. Well, this has been such a valuable experience to have to work on this project, because by going in and out of all these offices for something so obvious, you find the truth that I'll be explaining in other videos, is that these people are so immature. They are such, they're not even they're not doing their job, and they don't care, and they're so irresponsible. And the media should have done something about this crime wave. We've alerted quite a number of media people to this, and they're letting us down. They tell us that they're producing cutting-edge news, that they're there to keep everybody honest, but everybody's sort of like becoming very lazy. And as a result, we have so many people that have lost their lives unnecessarily to this new crime wave. So now you know the official classified military name of what it is everybody's complaining about being attacked by. And I tell you the history in the other videos. And you know that, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to shock you what it can do. The people that were involved with the so I don't want to take, this is now 30 minutes, and I don't want to take longer in this particular video. It's very hard on me to, I've been in basically intensive care now for a year when no one came to my rescue in government against this being slowly murdered by this weapon and everything robbed from me. I had to live in a place that was like, sort of like the World Trade Center for about a year, and I am a princess. I'm not, I'm like all women out there. We work very hard to create a really beautiful lives for ourselves, don't we? And now these government people have forced me to live in a World Trade Center because they did nothing when this stalker robbed me of my home, my properties, all my savings. He destroyed my flawless credit. He destroyed my car, all with this billion-dollar weapon of the government. And I can't work under the attacks, which I informed everybody about, and they did nothing. And I had to actually, and where can you live without any money? And I used to earn into 6 figures per month, which I contributed to inner city schools and things like that. But anyway, so, okay, but I feel like I don't want to go off on too many tangents. This is what the weapon can do. This is what I found out. Because our brain has different functional regions. See, you didn't know that, did you? Neither did I. Our brain has different functional regions. You can find this on our website. I know it's flipped backwards for you with this particular camera that we're using, but this is, our brain has different functional regions that people that are obsessed about controlling humans, scientists have been obsessed about that since the 1850s. And they came up with this technology secretly on their own, where, and they're sick about computers and about being able to control humans by altering their electrical system. And I won't go into too much information in this particular video, but you know, this is the front of our brain where the personality is, behavior control, to say nothing of thinking, thought and consciousness, speech production. This is really important. These people that you think are committing mass shootings at colleges and how they're talking. Yes, people, this robotics is the complete control of the human by supercomputers, by satellite. And the guy that's targeting these people has the computer translate back massive amounts of information back to him, to his brain. This is part of the program that allows him, it rearranges the electrons in the visual region of his brain, the hearing, the taste, touch, smell, so that he can literally be smelling and feeling and tasting and touching his victims as he's having this supercomputer weapon, this billion-dollar supercomputer weapon, beam up to satellites and down again, and to turn them into mass shooters. He can have the computer translate back to him massive amounts of information about, so that he can literally smell, see, taste, touch all of the victims as he has the computer cause this this person to commit the shootings or the stabbings. This is the motor control region of our brain, is up at the top. And that's where, when you decide to move, whether it's to look at somebody or, you know, however you're reacting to people or whatever you decide to do as you want to move through your day, that's where the electrons fire. And this is what, and this is how they can make a soldier turn around and shoot his own men. But it's godlike control of the human operating system. Remember, it's Fred Kavli, George W. Bush's own technology advisor, that in 2007 told me what it is that I'm being attacked by. Because the weapon is able to alter everything about the human. We're in a new era, just like when airplanes were invented, people thought that humans would never be able to fly. Well, then somebody came up with airplanes, right? Now we all take it for granted. This thing actually has been around longer, this invention, longer than what you think. I'm telling you the official classified military name now, but people, you're going to start realizing maybe your life has been destroyed by a high-tech stalker, because they can actually alter the electrons in the thought region of your brain and cause you to actually have a computer-generated thought. You can actually be reading your thoughts in your memory banks or underneath here. And for those of you that are thinking, I can't believe this, 60 Minutes in the year 2008, I had to find out on my own. instead of the FBI doing their job, or the U.S. Attorney General, Criminal Division Attorney, or the police, I had to find out on my own that in 2008, 60 Minutes, Leslie Stahl reported that 2 years earlier, India, the country of India, had convicted a woman after reading her brain with software and finding in her memory banks and finding out that she had poisoned her fiance 2 years earlier. And Leslie Stahl interviewed different college professors who admit to having the thought reading and software. And they're in the United States and Germany. But Leslie didn't know to ask these professors, where is private industry with all of this? And what's the worst case scenario? When a computer can actually read your thoughts and your memory banks, what's next? And what about the police? Where are they with all this? And I learned through my research that in the year 1997 to 2001, world-famous scientists, two world-famous scientists who I mentioned in the technology video, began to frantically try to warn the world and governments, especially the United States, that high-tech workers now produce the most severe threat to the lives and the safety and the freedom of the rest of the populace. There is no greater threat to our lives and our safety and our freedom than high-tech workers because of these extremely dangerous new, this is what these men said. It was Bill Joy of Sun Microsystems, the founder, co-founder, world famous, and also Sir Martin Rees, Great Britain's astronomer royal at that time. Still, these are like the top, most famous men in science, some of the most famous men in science in the world, frantically warning for a number of years in there that high-tech workers are producing extremely dangerous new types of electronic weapons, and that this one is the most dangerous weapon ever invented in the history of mankind. That it's so dangerous, Bill Joy said, it should never have been allowed to have been invented. Now, President Clinton was in office then, and he did nothing. And George W. Bush did nothing, and in fact, probably is guilty of doing some bad things with this weapon. Remember, I'm from my family is Republican. I'm a centrist at this point, but when you hear about this weapon, and we've had it since 1992. But anyway, and then the current president has done nothing, and he's ignoring the crime wave as well. And for those of you, we most of us, including myself, we voted, Obama. We voted for Obama. We're so proud of him for achieving his position. And for those of you out there, Danny Glover, our beloved and highly admired fellow Americans, Danny Glover and Harry Belafonte, and we've heard that you already are very angry with the current administration about different things. And so when you hear about this weapon, please keep in mind that every single president has had it since 1992. That would be, what is it? Was it? And that we even from the early 1970s, our country has had the early version of this. I'm not going to go into any more information here about that, but just so that you know who to blame. It's not just the current president; it's every president since 1992. According to the high-tech CEOs we've talked to, we've been to. I don't want to tell too much, but we've done exhaustive research. And I have really high contacts, but I don't want to take too much time in this video. I just want to tell you what the weapon can do, and if you doubt it, you may need to have a demonstration. But all the technological information and all the scientific and military proof are available on our website and on YouTube. And as I'm able to, I'll continue to help educate the public about this. But anyway, so that's, and our emotions are underneath all of this, different regions. But this is the motor control region where you control how you move. This is where your brain fires electrons when you're going to start to, you're thinking about what you want to say. This is your intellect. You're reasoning things out. You're deciding what to do, how to respond to situations. And then when you decide to answer somebody or to say something to somebody, this is where your speech projection region is of your brain. Of course, our mouths are right in here. So, but this is the frontal lobe, imagination, but behavior and behavior control, speech projection, thought and consciousness. Perception is back here. Your visual region is back here. Your hearing, the sense of taste, touch, hearing, smell, etc. is here. There are other things I can go into. I won't take too much time in this video. But people there are control fanatics in technology that are very sick, just like any industry. There are dangerous people in every profession. So that's what they came up with, was a way that they could actually beam the human operating system with electrons and cause it to behave differently than it would otherwise. And again, on our website you'll find some movies, documentaries dating from 1960, where a Yale University professor of Dr. Jose Delgado demonstrates, even back then, and that was the start of the satellite era, and the supercomputers were being purchased by the government for the space program. And he demonstrated back then, and we have a copy of it on our website, the wireless control of a charging bowl. And you can see it on our website, where the bowl had a little electrode planted up in its motor control region, and the bowl, you see the bowl charging full speed towards Dr. Jose Delgado. And when the bowl's 2 feet away, Dr. Jose Delgado flips a little switch, and you see the bowl come to a complete screeching stop. And also he demonstrated, it's on our website, altering the personality and the behavior of living cats. And you see 2 cats, very sweet in their cage, and they have electrodes up in their brain, and then they're so happy and sweet, and then you can see Dr. Delgado's hand flip a little switch wirelessly. Suddenly one of the cats begins to viciously attack the other one. This was 1960, everybody. And there's no government regulation of the high-tech industry, nor has there ever been. And even when we informed all these people, I want to stress to you, the FBI, the head of the FBI, we put in a frantic call to him in early 2014, left an office left 2 messages with his secretary that the public is being attacked by the government's new billion-dollar weapon. The high-tech workers are out murdering our law-abiding citizens in mass shootings. And Fred Kavli mentioned the credentials. There are no higher credentials than even my resume is so huge. I haven't even begun to scratch the surface of the things I've done. And then when you throw in Fred Kavli, one of the most, and George W. Bush's technology advisor, anyway, and nothing is being done. Everybody does not care at all. They are so irresponsible in there, and we need to fix our system, and which we also address in other videos. So so I told you about that was 1960, that, and we have other documentaries. They said I was a genius in college, and my science professors told me very often that I was outthinking them. I just worked harder than anybody else. So when I do research, it's really exhaustive. It's intense. And we have patents, we have military documents. Military men in the retirement are feeling safe to come forward and concerned about this weapon. It's such a long story that I'm not going to take it here, but in other words, robotics is the complete override of your own body. It is complete supercomputer control of humans. And as one famous scientist explained on the stage at Stanford University in the year 2008 at the annual Singularity Conference, Ray Kurzweil, the big name in the world for science, computer science, he was, for an hour and a half, he explained that this new technology, the other name for it is a virtual relationship. I'll explain that to you in a second. That this new technology is completely, that when you're beamed by somebody and they beam you with this supercomputer and they beam a different reality experience into you, that it's completely indistinguishable from from reality. Now I'll get into the virtual relationship aspect of it. Through my research into it, I found out that it's the same technology. Robotics, the weapon, as Fred told me what I was being attacked by, he identified for me. And this is worth so much money, and I'm not being paid for any of this work I've done. Please be furious on my behalf. I mean, I've done so much work into this, and I haven't had a single day off. I haven't had a vacation. I haven't had a birthday. I haven't had a Christmas. I've nearly died. I've nearly starved to death. I've had to live in a free World Trade Center. I was severely poisoned. I've been through the worst nightmare because people in government did not care about my ordeal and everybody else's. Anyway, so I am giving this information to you, and I am begging you to make sure I'm rescued. And if anybody wants to donate in exchange for me providing you with all of this information, please look at our website, and it would save my life. And anyway, so this is what it is. Robotics, the weapon, the classified official military name of the weapon is robotics. And it's the same technology as virtual relationship technology. That's the history. And a lot of women are being targeted, and children, and we're being kidnapped away from our homes, and children are being kidnapped away from their homes because the stalker, or the people that came up with this weapon, or it's a new pervert, the new voyeur, that they're free to look by satellites into our homes. They invented a way for the computer to look through our clothing. That's the history. And then the computer translates back to them, to their brains, massive amounts of information about our body and our body parts, and it rearranges the electrons in the visual region of his brain, in the smell, taste, touch, and the hearing, so that he can literally smell, taste, touch, feel our bodies and us from far, far away, which is a turn on for him. He feels powerful. It's the new voyeur, so I'm not going to take too much time. I'm up to 47 minutes. This is why everybody's being targeted, women and children especially, and women are being complained about their private parts, their female parts, being attacked with something that makes it hurt. Because this is, the computer is able to be reading your thoughts and your emotions as you're being hurt. Young men, mothers, the distress that mothers feel, or their children are feeling, as the mother drives them into the ocean. Mommy's changed. Babies dying of heat, of too much heat in the car, and the parents' distress as they go through this. The computer is able to rearrange the electrons in the brain of the stalker, and it could be a group of them. They can link it together. The computer is able to link all of the brains of the stalkers so that they can literally be hearing your thoughts as the computer can beam your thoughts loudly throughout his house while he sits there and he has the computer murder you. The weapon is fully automated. You don't have to be good with computers. Completely automated. You can whisper to it, or you can. It's actually thought controlled. And we found. I know it sounds weird, but with nanotechnology, what is nanotechnology? It's the supercomputers that take matter apart and rearrange them into different things that aren't natural. When it takes atoms apart into their component parts, and when matter is broken apart into its component parts, it behaves very, very differently than it would on its own. And nanotechnology has allowed, and these supercomputers have allowed the people in science that are obsessed about all this to find out that thought has a material aspect to it. It's electronic, and these electrons can be altered by the supercomputer. These are obsessive people about this. Like Dr. Jose Delgado was quoted by the New Atlantis magazine. I told you, Dr. Jose Delgado in 1960 already had wireless control of a charging bowl and altering the emotions and behavior and personality of living cats. He was the science profession was concerned about his morality. He wrote 15 books and 300 science articles on the topic of being able to control the human brain. And he was quoted by the science community in this article, New Atlantis magazine article, as having a very scary morality, that he was quoted as saying, man has no right to control his own brain, that's a very liberal concept. Man has no right to control his own brain. That's a very liberal concept. So now it's time for us to stop being naive, that the science world has really, really bad people in it, mad scientists who have come up, just like I'm obsessed about my careers. I love my careers. I would never have stopped working. These people are born where they're obsessed about being able to do these things to humans, where by altering the electrons in their brain or in their bodies, they're able to produce behavior that is completely against that person's best interests, because the computer, the software, is able to read your thoughts in your memory banks to find out what's really important to you. And this is the new sadist that's turned on. It's a sexual orgasm for them to be able to have the computer out looking for people, young men, who are honor students, who are law-abiding, who are positive role models. Throughout all their life, they've been wonderful young men. And this computer it's out scanning through houses, looking through your brain and your memory banks, your emotions, to see who's a really good person. And it's the sick fetish to be able to take a law-abiding young man and go commit a mass shooting and get blamed for it. This is the complete control of humans by supercomputer, everybody. You are a robot. You are a puppet. What you think, feel, say, do is completely under the control of a supercomputer. And it's with the force of a 50-ton Mack truck. If somebody beams you with this, they can rip the arms off of your body, as I said earlier, and I'm up to 52 minutes now. It can pop your heart. It can tear the organs from inside your body. It can, but it can also cause you to begin to, as Fred had explained, it's able to beam the enemy soldiers and cause them to begin to shout at their own men in a language that they've never even, like Russian. You don't understand how powerful this is. When you're beamed, and it's not kind of control, it's godlike control. I learned through my research into it, and some people were helping me along the way. My father, who had a full scholarship to the world famous science university called Caltech. My father had a full scholarship to Caltech anyway, he was helping a little bit before he passed away. But through my research into it, I learned that the other name for it, the nickname, is God Weapon, the God Weapon. And for those of you that have been targeted, or as you look at these crimes being committed, now you're going to understand. The other name for it is the voice-to-skull weapon, voice-to-skull weapon. And if you're wondering about this, people are reporting, a number of months ago, we saw an article on a major news internet site, I forget which one it was, but they reported that in Soho, very very lovely, trendy, artistic part of New York City, that people are noticing, as pedestrians, as they walk up and down the street in Soho, that there's a billboard, I think it was AT&T, they're noticing that it's making them hear the advertising message inside their own skull. But we have tons and tons and tons of scientific and military proof of this weapon and what I'm telling you about it. The point that I'm trying to make here is that, and the other thing is it can rape you. That was the original thing that they came up with, is that they're turned on by being able to look into our houses by satellite. They feel powerful. American Psychiatric Association explains that about stalkers and voyeurs, is that they feel powerful, voyeurs, when they can be looking at you without you knowing it. They feel big time, and it's very arousing. They're control fanatics. It's a new fetish, women, and for men, it's a new sadist. And we found a documentary by the Investigation Discovery Channel, where they interviewed, to give you an idea of how sick some people are in technology besides the good people. There is a Investigation Discovery Channel has a documentary about fembots, FEMBOTS, and that was a documentary we found where they explain that there are 2 million men in the United States who admit to being members of this sort of organization called fembots, where they admit to being turned on when they have complete control over the female they're interested in, and that they go to great expense and great effort to be able to achieve complete control over the female that they're interested in. And some of these men were in technology. Some people were out buying. They spent $35,000 on acquiring a full-size, very lifelike female robot with a male robot, things like that. But the thing that I found very helpful to understand the psychology of these people is at the end they interviewed a young man and his girlfriend. He was in technology. He seemed nice enough, maybe. People can, have good social skills on the surface, but when you're in their life, you find out. When you're in their life all the, full time, you can find out if somebody's really nice or not. But anyway, they did seem to be a nice couple. Now that young man, the girlfriend was cooperating with herself, allowing herself to be hypnotized, those sort of things. But at the end of the interview with that young couple, that high-tech male had a photograph of his girlfriend's face on his computer monitor. So show you how people are really twisted sometimes in technology. Anyway, so there's a photograph of his girlfriend's face on his computer monitor, and he has put technology symbols all over the photograph of her face. And you see the interviewer from Investigation Discovery Channel ask him, "So, you find this very arousing, you say?" And the young man is there, and he's putting more technology symbols on her face. Oh, you have no idea how arousing it is to be putting. So this is the new fetish, everybody, that we have going on now. And the problem is that this weapon has gotten into the hands of some certifiably crazy weirdos, to say nothing of the other ones. There were some certifiably crazy people working as, say, janitor's assistants. They were, and I won't go into the whole story in this video, I'm trying to keep it short here, but they got a hold of this after hours, and they've been using it they're so immature and crazy in what they're doing to humans. Everybody's complaining, so many people are complaining about being attacked by something horrible, or their relatives, but it's so immature because it can also make your body, it can do unnatural things to your body. It's like what God could do. It can actually, there are things in your brain that are like the involuntary control of things in your body. Swallowing, vomiting, heart rate, hunger, thirst. That's your medulla oblongata. It's just a joke to these people to be able to make your body suddenly start exploding from all your openings. And please forgive me for having to be so frank, but it's the new sick. They came up with this. The ones that are sick, they came up with it. And people in technology are being attacked, being kidnapped, being harmed. We're in a new era, everybody, with this weapon. And the invention of this weapon, and when you call it a virtual relationship, as Ray Kurzweil explained on the stage at Stanford University, if you're being beamed by somebody, it's a virtual relationship for him where he can actually, and I'll produce another video to explain just the virtual relationship aspect of it, but it's what Ray Kurzweil explained on the stage at Stanford University is that when you're beamed by somebody with this, when they beam you with this, it is completely indistinguishable for them from a real relationship. And when you're beamed and you're made to see, smell, taste, touch, feel a different reality by the virtual reality beaming of this, it's completely indistinguishable from real reality. For an hour and a half on the stage at Stanford University, maybe you can help us relocate a copy of that speech. We did contact Ray about this. We attempted to speak with him about this, but apparently we found a copy of that speech and also his speech in 2004 to the Army Sciences Conference Board, about a 20-minute long speech in 2004, Army Sciences Conference Board, where he explained, the title of it was Virtual Relationships, Now a Perfected and Completely Viable Weapon of War. Virtual relationships, now a perfected and very viable weapon of war. And after we contacted his office, both speeches disappeared off of his Wikipedia page. We had asked him to kind of help advise us as we were trying to, because of the crime wave and my life being in such danger. So apparently he didn't want to be involved with helping to stop the crime wave, even though he receives government money for advising, he has taxpayer dollars going to him for consultations about high-tech weapons and things. So here we are paying all these people, all of our tax dollars, our hard work, and they don't want to do their jobs. And they're so they're really, it's just horrible how irresponsible everybody is in government. At these positions. I'm not going to explain it here, but there would be some good news coming out of all this. So, but yes, they can literally rape you. That was one of the first. It has complete control over your every subatomic particle in your body is under the control of a supercomputer. It's able to make your skin turn purple all over, just like that. The computer has it planned. And it can make a perfect yellow star on your skin. It can peel the living skin off of your body, and the doctors can't do anything about it. Supercomputer, it's a new era that we're in with the invention of this weapon. And it's able to it's able to kidnap women. It can make your children walk out of your house. And they can make it so you can't even see your children leaving. You can't hear. The computer can target a lot of people all at once in different ways. Why? Through my research, I had to learn the computer industry has had computer-generated personalities programs, computer-generated personalities since the early 1970s. And it's completely indistinguishable from a real personality. They used it mostly for training purposes, be interacting with this personality. But that is incorporated in this weapon. So when these young men are giving speeches about, before they commit a mass shooting, that they, going on and on, or they start to say things in a way that people have never known them to do before. People saying, I can't believe that the Navy Yard shooter did that. People who were in his temple with him. He's a Buddhist. That's all about peace and love. And the people that knew him couldn't believe he committed the shooting. And now you know he was beamed by somebody, because he told the police he was being controlled by people with microwaves, some people with microwaves. And then he was blamed for the shooting. And some of you are now starting to become horrified to realize the big picture here. You can blame the police for that shooting, and the FBI, and Congresswoman Lois Capps in California, and Dianne Feinstein, who sits on the committee that pays these companies for this weapon, Barbara Boxer, the senator, Jerry Brown, the current governor. We have written and hand-delivered letters informing them about this crime wave. The police have we gave them all the military and scientific proof in 2010, and in the high-tech crimes division in California for the police. They all said, well, we don't really feel like doing this, working on this. And you see, everybody, this is like an Alice in Wonderland experience for myself and the people helping me, that we have that illusion, we have an illusion of what our country is all about. And by having to work on such an obvious project that women and children are being kidnapped out of their homes and being murdered, businesses are being destroyed, families are being attacked and murdered, doctors, attorneys, their families, all over the country. People are complaining about being attacked and murdered and their relatives. Bizarre things. Celebrities are being murdered. They're being made to do terrible things for their own reputation. By going in and out of all these offices, as we did, for such an obvious cause, Fred Kavli had told me what I was being slowly murdered by, the government's own new billion-dollar weapon, electronic weapon called robotics. My resume alone, I had served on, I'm not going to take time here, and going in with these credentials and all the military and scientific proof, and then even the media, that we alerted to this crime wave, different media, and they said, well, I guess they're kind of overworked and underpaid or busy, but this illusion should now be shattered, that the reality of our country is that people that are on a payroll in government get that check even when we don't know that they're not doing their jobs. And there's no way for us to let each other know when these people aren't doing their jobs, and when the media doesn't feel like covering things. It's another topic for another thing. And I am a member of the media when I'm not being forced to work on this. I have 2 careers. I won't take time here, but I'm kind of a big achiever. And I'm in the arts, and also I have my own mushrooming investment oriented business with 3 world famous CEOs and a number of billionaires, but it's all been destroyed. I had 5 assistants. Again, please forgive me for going off track. People will tell you that it's just because I'm being sabotaged. The computer, when you're being targeted, it can do anything to you. It can cause you to begin to shout at your own favorite, beloved people, the people most important to you in your life. It can make you, it's complete control of the human operating system. As Bill Joyce said, it's so dangerous, it should never have been allowed to have been invented. I'm not going to, I think I'll produce another video to explain more of what it can do to you, but it can make your veins jump up and down in time to music. It's a new era. It's very bizarre. It can change what you say and do and what you're experiencing. There are attorneys, there are doctors, there are school teachers, there are police officers, people, so many places. Look on the internet who are complaining about being gang stalked, or they're wearing little foil pointy hats on their head. And then they ramble on in ways that they can't even put a sentence together. And they maybe are ranting and raving about the mafia or like aliens or things like that. What you don't realize, and you could dismiss them as being crazy. Well, what you don't realize, hopefully this is the end of our naivete, we're no longer naive, is that they're being targeted. You can look at their resume in their life, and so often they were the leaders of their community, they were a manager in technology, this was a school teacher, these were highly regarded people, somebody with multiple degrees from the top universities around the world. And here they are behaving and speaking in ways that are so, it makes you think that they're crazy, because they can't, talking about aliens and this and that, and it's the person targeting them that is crazy and is really bad person. He has the computer beaming them. Excuse me, now I'm tying the 2 together. The artificial generated personalities in the computer are able to target a lot of people all at once in different ways, and has complete control over what they say and do. Little eye movements. It's the most minute detail is under the control of a supercomputer. They can control everybody in different ways all at once. And so when you see people on the internet complaining about being gang stalked, that's a particular closet criminal's own shtick, where he gets off on being able to make people think that they're government agents chasing them and looking in their windows. And when you're targeted by this, everybody, as Ray Kurzweil explained on the stage at Stanford University in the year 2008, when you're targeted by this, it is completely indistinguishable from real reality, thanks to artificial intelligence. Bill Joy had explained that the three greatest dangers to the world now, this is as of 1997 to 2001, are is robotics, nanotechnology, and artificial intelligence. And and I'm not going to tell you more about the politics behind all of this. Apparently, I'm quite an expert in all this now, but now you know, everybody is being targeted by sickos in technology, and sometimes it's a group of people. Did I tell you that we did find technology articles that explain that we have thought-controlled aircraft up in the sky? In 2008, we found some technology journals about this, so some technology articles, because this is what this particular type of obsession is. People like Dr. Jose Delgado, even since the 1850s, scientists have been obsessed about being able to alter humans and altering their electrical system. And they even back in 1850, they would take a recently dead frog and put a certain metal on his belly, and it would make his legs jerk in a predictable, duplicatable way. And so then we had the computer era, and supercomputers and artificial intelligence is able to target a lot of people all at once in different ways. And then the person who's in control of the computer, of that particular computer weapon, he's just, the computer is under his control, or he could be ignoring the situation. He can just lock it onto you. It's like an invisible beam, a force field that locks onto you. You cannot feel it coming. There's nothing you can do to block it. The people with little pointy foil hats are being played with. Somebody's feeling very superior to them. Some loser somewhere who probably just was a janitor's assistant. I told you, it's completely automated. You can whisper to it, and the personality in the computer runs around and does, it's like a soap opera for the guy targeting you, or targeting these people. And just watch and see what the computer comes up with. He could say, I'm in a bad mood. Go kill a lot of people in the United States and let me see it up close. And he can just sit there. These are people that are obsessed about technology. They feel big time that they can see the beaming going by satellite. The computer can let them have the virtual reality experience that they are of watching the nanoparticles going up to satellite and then down into homes, schools, cars, and then making and reading people's thoughts and their value system, and then causing their body to do things that are so against their value system. And then this guy is very orgasmic. And please forgive my frankness. My friends would tell you she never talks about these things, but the people on government payroll left it up to us, myself with a couple of people, to solve the crime and to educate all of you and to organize the country into doing something about the crime wave. Because after all, we're paying them, but heck, they get their paycheck no matter what. And the full story will be told in another video. So now you know in a nutshell what's going on, everybody, that when we first started researching the weapon in the year 2007, there were just a few people complaining about this, about being attacked by electronic weapons. And I didn't know to put two and two together. It took 115 hours per week from 2007 on, the day after the FBI told me they weren't going to do anything. I didn't know how lazy people are there, or in our government offices, how immature they are. And I was shocked when they didn't do anything. And I was dragged. I won't tell my story here, but see, like what happens to me, the person targeting me with this apparently is very jealous of my abilities and my accomplishments. He's one of the crazy like janitor assistant types that got a hold of it after work, and when he sees a female personally drives by them, or if they're in a room where he is that looks the way I used to look before he started slowly murdering me with a weapon, he'll have the weapon latch onto them and block them from being able to access their own abilities. my but again, don't be worried about this particular stalker. There are about 200 people that will verify for you that they've been helping me with this research and been my friends, or they've lived with me, or I've lived with them. But anyway, in the process of former fiance, people that went with me to the FBI many times, and they're all still my friends, and that in fact their lives are actually made better because I'm a stalking victim, because the program, for some strange reason, is designed to actually provide me with top of the world information to solve some of the problems in their lives. Sometimes things that I'm puzzling about, it actually provides me with information that actually is helpful. And so that's why people are very, very happy around me. I make friends very easily. I like people very much. But I've learned a lot from this experience that I hope it helps our country. And people in other countries have told us they're having problems with their quote-unquote elected people. I went to high school with some people that are now senators or that were senators. And after alerting everybody, including them, to this crime wave, and I can just say that in high school they weren't very impressive. And then they get into these jobs where they have a paycheck and no one knows whether or not they're at work and whether or not they're doing their job. There's no way to know what these people are doing. And then they have a lifetime pension salary. It's really, really, it's just horrible in there. Anyway, I won't go into that anymore about what's going on in there, but we think, bottom line, that there will be a lot of positive things coming out of this ordeal. But it's been an Alice in Wonderland experience to find out that our country is not what we think it is. The way you think about the police and the FBI is how I used to think about them. I've never been a victim of crime in my life. And if I ever had any overly aggressive males, I would, I could just call the police and they would be there. Well, that's because, apparently because we, the public, can communicate with each other if they don't show up, right? Whereas with this, how could we ever let any of you know about the fact that the police and FBI are saying it's not their job to have to do something about this new crime wave involving people being murdered, law-abiding citizens being turned into mass shooters with the government's own new billion-dollar weapon? We need to set up citizens TV. We should have TV cameras in all of these government offices of these positions. We've given them too much responsibility. I won't take time here, but if we had cameras on them and a camera out in the foyer and citizens TV, the minute that something like this happens in 2007, I could have gone to the foyer, to the camera in the foyer. I could have reported, this is the weapon, and it's the government's new billion-dollar weapon, and the FBI is saying that it's not their job to do something about the fact that I'm being slowly murdered by it, and my business is destroyed. All my assistants have lost their jobs. Someone had to drop out of college. One had to drop out of law school. They've had to move out of state to find jobs of equal or similar promise, and the FBI and the police are saying it's not their job, and that everybody around the country could hear and we could all jump on it right away, right? These people lack a stick. We all have the carrot and the stick, but they don't have the stick, and so they can become very lazy and maybe not even realize how bad they are, but actually it's really bad in there. I'm not going to explain everything now, but so I know that I'm being sabotaged as I'm trying to explain this to you. I've done so much public speaking, and I was involved with stage and film acting, and winning every camera audition before being attacked by weirdos with this weapon. They're turned on by being able to beam into our homes and look and smell and taste and touch our bodies up close, and to molest us exactly as if they're with us in this new voyeur way, and then to sort of like destroy our life. That's what's happened to me with these males. I've repeatedly been targeted by males with this. I'll tell my story in another video, but now I've gone on more than an hour and I'm going to have to stop this. There are bad people in technology besides the good ones. A lot of companies have this, and I would say that back to the police and FBI. I'm sorry for going back to that, but what we found by working on this and finding out how uncaring they are, what it occurred to us is that our perception of our country is based upon what we're taught in school, that we have a representative form of government, and we also what the media tells us, what television reports to us, and also a lot of TV shows and films that portray the behavior of people on government. And we just sort of accept that what we see and what we're taught is reality, that must be the way things are in our country, and we're wondering why things are slipping. This is why I hope this is such a helpful experience. What I'm sharing with all of you is that the reality is that until we, in the film and TV shows, it shows the police and the FBI as being so passionate. Oh, ma'am, I'm going to solve the crime. Oh, I'm not going to rest until I solve this, until I find your child's killer or whatever. I'm on it. I'm sacrificing. They're just, in the television industry and the television news industry and all the media. Oh, we're cutting edge news. Everybody is saying, and the whole thing is an illusion. The reality is that these people are not doing their jobs, and they're able to not do their jobs because our system doesn't have the necessary oversight by citizens to see what these people are doing when we're paying them. We don't have any way to monitor whether or not they're actually doing their jobs. So this era of technology is going to help us to actually fix our system. Just think about Rodney King, what happened. If it hadn't been for cell phones and cameras on cell phones, who would have ever heard about that? How could there ever have been proof? That's what happened when I had to start working on this, begging everybody in government to come to my rescue. And then as I researched it, it's the other thing I was trying to tell you, as I researched the weapon, I realized this is a huge, huge, huge crime wave. And it went from being just a few people in 2007 complaining to becoming huge numbers of people on the internet complaining. And so, as I had to work on all this, and I feel like I'm definitely being sabotaged here, which everyone who knows me will tell you she has a perfect memory, she's a perfect public speaker. And this is just part of the nature of the sabotage of my life. I was an honor student all of my life, and I would not be able to make it even through an hour of kindergarten under this sabotage of myself. So please forgive me. I really need to stop this now. Send us your questions if you have any questions. Look for our videos explaining more about this weapon and what it can do. I barely scratched the surface of what it can do to you. It was invented to be able to molest women and children and kidnap them, and it can literally molest you. It can make your children have orgasms, and they are doing it. They're sickos because it's mothers and fathers. They're able to literally smell, taste, touch your children exactly as if they're with your children. And some of these people, the brains, what we learned through this research is that everybody's brain is different. All of our bodies are different. We're all a snowflake. There's not one brain and body out there that's exactly like anybody else's. And that some people are miswired from birth, where they are literally turned on by things that the rest of us who are normal cannot handle. For example, harming children. This person is miswired from birth, where when he hurts children, or when he is able to smell or see children by technology from far away, by satellite, he's miswired, where it goes right into an orgasm for him. That's how dangerous these people are. So they're miswired from birth, or into murdering people. It's miswired where when they hurt people, it goes right into orgasm. It's like a street killer. 3% of the males are born that way. Apparently, these scientists that had this brain scanning technology taught us. So this is what's going on. I've given you a lot all at once. If I've been unable to answer or to finish a certain thought along the way. That's the nature of what's being done to me with this weapon. But at least now you know that people were so concerned about these young men who are being blamed for committing mass shootings. They're not. If you research so many of these young men, someone is targeting young men. They're targeting the TV industry, the people in the TV industry, the directors. They're targeting, there are young men who are being targeted whose fathers are in the computer business and the computer fraud experts. You start to notice a pattern, and someone else has a fetish for targeting mothers and making them hurt their children or kill their children, and then the mother is sent to prison. And what you don't understand is that this guy that's targeting her, it could be a group of friends. When she's sent to prison or she's incarcerated, they think it's hilariously funny because a lot of them are crazy. And the way it works apparently is that if you are crazy, as long as you don't commit a crime, you're free to be on the streets. And the high-tech industry is, if it's not, you can be really crazy and working in these jobs. Those of us that were in college and science classes, there are people that are crazy in science. Anyway, I could go on for hours about this. Okay, so that's where I'll leave it. And the young men, the mothers, the mass shootings, you can start to research the weapon yourself. You can research the crimes. The topic of how can our country have a war when our government when we've had this weapon since 1992. A huge, very famous corporation began to sell it to our government as of 1992, according to the different high-tech CEOs we've talked to. Through my business, I have really huge contacts. My business was kind of like a Beverly Hills-based high ethics investment business. And as I told you, my clients included world-famous CEOs and billionaires, as well as a lot of really wonderful, normal people. And just through the things I've done before, I have a lot of contacts, and we do. And so this is what they've told us. One company that's actually selling it to our government for $1 billion a year told us it was since 1992, and that the early version of it our country's had since the early 1970s, the President Nixon forward. And why do we have a war when our country has this weapon is answered in the other videos on that topic, because we do have the answers. It will really help to move civilization forward. It goes back to the fetish. That's one of the reasons, but there are a number of reasons. It's a conflict of interest. A lot of people are becoming rich. I know it sounds disgusting, but this is going to be a wake-up call for our country. It's time for us to grow up. There's no dad in there, and these are just our high school classmates in there, and they're not doing their jobs. And I would really appreciate if you would all please make sure that I'm rescued. This particular stalker, I've had more than my share of people use this on me. My life has been destroyed by males. It's a new relationship where they actually are involved with you in this weird new high-tech way. They can literally smell, taste, touch you, and they can molest you, and they have complete control over what your hands, your body does. They can have the computer be constantly scanning your thoughts, and as it hurts you, it can murder you. It's sort of like I've been forced into a snuff film. Like this particular computer, this particular stalker communicated to me. Because of my work in the film industry, which I won't go into now, I had taken incredibly good care of myself. I always have loved the arts. I was setting up a fashion design division to my business, and I'd taken such good care of myself over the years that as a lot of people will tell you, by the time by 2007, which was when I was about 50, when these attacks began, a slow murder of myself, I worked out 1 to 3 hours a day, and clean living, a health fanatic, and I'd always shielded myself from the sun, because I just love the world of fashion and art galleries, and I was starting to write and direct really high quality romantic period films and other things like that. So I I had taken such good care of myself that a lot of different people were coming up to me, women, all different walks of life, and including country women that would come up, and they, complete strangers, and they would tell me, "Oh my gosh, you're the most beautiful female we've ever seen in our life." Well, I was lifting weights, running long distance, 2 hours at a time, ballet, advanced yoga, and every sport. But I was always the hat, the sunblock, the scarf, and everything. And also there would be, and women would come up to me in the grocery store and post offices, and they would say, "Oh, your complexion, you're just perfect. Can't believe it." They ask my advice. This is happening a lot because as I moved more and more into the arts, I was able to be more and more, it was just what I was involved with was taking really good care of myself besides my intellectual accomplishments. And also at that time, it was not uncommon for young men in their 30s to approach me about wanting to date me, thinking that I was in my early 30s. Everybody was swearing that I was no more than 32, and I was 50, because of how well I'd taken care of myself. And young girls were coming up to befriend me. They were very so excited to see what you could do by taking care of yourself, if that's what you want to do in life, right? Not everybody's programmed that way, but that's my world. And so this particular stalker, because the computer can read your memory banks and your thoughts and your value system without you even knowing it, everybody. You can be targeted in your home without you even knowing it. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can hide behind. You can't get away from it. It follows you no matter where you go, because our bodies are all different, and that is reducible to math. So it can lock onto you and stay locked onto you without you even knowing it for years at a time. Every now and then it might bump you and make you say or do something that is bad for your reputation, so that when it finally makes you do something really bad, everybody thinks, "Oh, well, he was like this all through those years," when in fact it was a billion-dollar computer weapon that was locked onto you. But this particular stalker had the computer scanning through my memory banks without me knowing it, and when he attacked me, he communicated to me that because everybody is always saying that you're the most beautiful female they've ever seen in their life, which I think is just, I just work out a lot, but anyway, because of that, I'm now going to use this weapon to turn you into the world's ugliest woman. I'm going to destroy your face. I'm going to cut it and maim you and mutilate you until you're the world's ugliest woman. And it began to cut my face 24/7 from that point on, when I came home from the FBI, and it began instantly to make things pop. And all these cuts, and I'm going to turn off the lights so you can see it. And it also communicated to me, and I've also been a runway model. People have asked me at times to be a runway model. And it also communicated to me, "Oh, because everybody's always saying how beautiful your legs are, I'm going to break them and destroy them." And I can show, my friends would, if you can see all of this, the computer is cut. People would, my friends, if you're out there, you can see what I've been going through. This nanotechnology is able to rearrange anything in your body to make it different. It can change your eyes, how they look. It can rip things. It can make. We heard that somebody was using this to turn a Russian prisoner into a bear, and they were able to cause things in your body to grow and do things and to move in ways because of the computer. So this particular stalker has this billion-dollar weapon locked onto me, and it's been cutting my face 24/7 ever since. All these lines, it's starting to cut underneath here. It's cut this. It's starting to cut in here. People would tell you that I was, they would say, all my friends could tell you this. I mean, for some of you out there that aren't really, you're thinking, okay, it could be a lot worse, but compared to where it was and what I've been through and all this being cut, and all this here, and my lips are gone. I have lipstick on now, but every day, and you can look at my videos from earlier this year, and we can provide photographs, and you'll be shocked. Right away, when it began to cut my face, people that I worked with were shocked within 2 weeks what happened to me. And it's cutting, all this has been cut by the computer. At nighttime it wakes me up and it cuts my face for another 1.5 to 3 hours. There's nothing you can do about it. And the FBI left me to this. Lois Capps, Dianne Feinstein, Jerry Brown, and the poverty. I've nearly starved to death. And it's cut all my skin and ripped my skin, and the pain is so incredible, and it's going to keep going. It is going to make me into the world's ugliest woman. It's going very fast now, and it is going to break my legs, and I don't have any way to survive under the attacks of this billion-dollar weapon of the government. You know, the attacks on me are calibrated to prevent me from working, but I'm not going to take more time here. But please know that I've nearly starved to death along the way. I've been frantically working on this, and the story will be told in another website. And these people, Jerry Brown, I think we should just drop the titles and just call them by their names. They don't deserve the titles. And again, we have proof. We have emails and letters, dates, times, everybody we've talked to, senators in every party around the country. We alerted them this year to this crime wave. That would be every party. I'm a centrist, but Bernie Sanders, the two progressives up in Oregon, it'll break your heart, but it'll be good, because then we'll know this is what we need to do to fix our country and the world, the responsibility that we owe to the world to actually run our country correctly. Jay Rockefeller, his office didn't care. He didn't care, and they're very abusive in there. And all kinds of Congress people and Homeland Security Committee people. It's a joke. These people are really immature, and we'll tell you the entire story somewhere else. So please, and then Jerry Brown has the IRS and Jerry Brown have the nerve, even though we've told them about the destruction of my business by high-tech males, stalkers, with this new billion-dollar weapon of the government, that I'm starving to death. My home, I've been robbed, I've been stolen away from my home. My children have lost me as a mother because nobody in government has done anything about this new crime wave and about my rescue. They actually have the nerve to still take taxes from me, or to force me to have to go borrow money, beg, and how am I going to find money to pay taxes from time before my business was destroyed with a stalker that nobody on government payroll did anything about? They'll say, it's not my job, go away. Not my job, go away, literally. And then I'm starving to death. I have to live in a free industrial incinerator, and I am a princess. My story is told in another video. I'm from a major real estate background, family background. My father owned a lot of real estate, beautiful, beautiful upbringing. I was married to the top architect in Southern California for a long, long time. I've owned quite a substantial portfolio of beautiful properties. They're all robbed of me by high-tech weirdos, this new billion-dollar weapon of the government. And they've destroyed my life, and nobody's cared. And then on top of it, people in government don't care. And on top of it, Jerry Brown has done nothing, and Dianne Feinstein, they actually still take taxes from me. They want, I can't pay, I don't have the money. Everything's been robbed from me. So they said, you can have an installment payment, and they have the nerve to charge me a penalty, 25% penalty. And I'm literally starving to death. The only way I survived was, I'll tell my story later, but I was able to, finally someone told me about, I could find a way to get disability, because when you're beamed by somebody, it actually disables you. You have a virtual reality. They can throw you off of a 400-foot high bridge, can do terrible things to you. It's complete control of the human. Can walk your children out of their home, can walk the enemy soldiers off of a cliff. It's a force of a 50-ton Mack truck. Anyway, so this is where things are. I'm going to end now. That these people, Jerry Brown, Dianne Feinstein, Barbara Boxer, Lois Capps, the police, the FBI, they certainly find a way to force you to pay taxes to them for their paychecks, right? No problem with that. And they find a way to still pay this stalker $1 billion a year for the weapon, right? From my tax dollars that I don't have enough money for food. I was living on $500 a month. And how can you do that in California? And I'm not, but they can't find a way to do their job to rescue you if your business is destroyed by high-tech males with this new billion-dollar weapon of the government. So they actually have ignored me as I've told them I'm being murdered, slowly murdered by this billion-dollar weapon of the government. Fred Kavli told me that's what it's being attacked. I'm being attacked by this new classified weapon of the government called robotics. Same thing as virtual blah, blah, blah. And that's where we are with things, is that Jerry Brown and Dianne Feinstein have ignored all of my pleas, my tearful pleas for rescue starting in 2007, and have forced me to pay taxes that they then use for their paychecks. And everybody gets paid in government, right? But then, so they take my money and I have to live in basically an industrial incinerator with rats and scorpions. It's like a crawl space. There's nowhere else to live. There are no government programs. They ignore my request. They update government programs. They have all kinds of programs to rescue if you're a victim of crime, but but they haven't updated it to include the high-tech weapons that the government's buying from the high-tech industry. So you're out of luck. So that's where things are, where they literally have the nerve to force a murder victim of the government's own billion-dollar weapon to go out and have to borrow money to give them tax dollars to try and protect her credit, and the nerve to add on a 25% penalty that you don't have the money, and then make this guy rich when my own net worth would be huge. And my net worth, people tell you that I was on my way to being a billionaire, which I was giving to inner city schools and wiping out poverty and women and children causes and the environment. But my own life has always been very nice. So this is where I am with things. If you please listen to my story, if you now understand how much danger my life is in. I've been in intensive care now for basically a year. I was severely poisoned by having to live in that place, so nobody came to my rescue in government. And they did nothing about the crime wave, because we alerted them that it wasn't only myself, but that it's a huge crime wave now, starting in 2010. Could not believe, shocked at these people, how callous they are. And now you all know that a system has to be designed to bring out the best in people. And these people that we have in these jobs have no oversight by citizens. We do not know that they're not doing their job, and we have no way to let each other know when people aren't doing their job in these positions. And but that's another topic in itself. So for me, I would just say, please make sure I'm rescued, and it should be very soon. And look at our other videos to learn more about this weapon. There's more that it can do to you. Girls are being raped. Their lives are being destroyed. These males have destroyed my life. And girls, you don't even know, and young men and college students, you don't even know about this weapon. And we've even alerted some college chancellors about it. They didn't care. All these people are supposed to be responsible for things, are not doing their jobs. They're really, we have to have a way to communicate with everybody in the country. Okay, so for me, what I'd like you all to do is to instantly call Jerry Brown and Dianne Feinstein and tell them that you're going to make sure that all your friends and relatives in California vote them and their party out of office if they don't instantly start to rescue me by sending me incredible Social Security. I'm 59 now, and that's too young. And besides, my businesses have been destroyed by male stalkers with this weapon repeatedly. And my friends would tell you that I've been kind of like, always have had males be very interested in me, and before my face was destroyed, I've had a lot of world famous people, upon seeing me somewhere, want to be involved with me or date me. They'd stop their car to come over to try to meet me, and they're household name people. I don't want to drop names, but my friends would tell you that, and as a result, my businesses have been repeatedly, it's just, I don't want to take time here to tell you my story, but please make sure that they're forced to send me incredible Social Security right away. I have no way to earn any money under the billion-dollar slow murder of myself with this weapon of the government, by this stalker, and that they have to repay me for my medical expenses. And I'll tell my story in another video, and that they have to continue to pay for it. It's going to take another 2 or 3 years to recuperate from the severe poisoning I went through when I had to live in that place. And I have proof that my health was perfect before then. Stanford University documented where my health was, because I realized there was going to be a lawsuit against the government by 2010, and I went and they documented I had perfect heart. Everything was like incredibly healthy. And then when I had to live in that place, when Jerry Brown didn't do his job and rescue me, and Dianne Feinstein, and then I was in a wheelchair, and I was a hair away from dying, because it was like being sprayed with Raid, an ant. You spray it with Raid, it crinkles and it can't walk. That's what happened to me, and it'll take a couple more years. And now I have severe heart damage. I used to be able to, I'm a gourmet cook, and I used to be able to eat anything, go out to restaurants anytime, anything I wanted to eat, drink anything, and now I have to take shots. All my enzymes are destroyed by the poisoning, and I have to take about 60 shots a day to be able to even eat a couple things. I can't even eat anymore, and that's the fault of Jerry Brown and Dianne Feinstein for not doing their job about this crime and about rescuing me from this ordeal. And you haven't even seen my resume yet. I need to have, the problem is there is a Pandora's box aspect to this that Fred explained to me, is that it was invented before the government even knew it was invented. And so whoever has the biggest version of it is going to be difficult to stop. And I'll tell more, anyone out there, I'll tell that story in another video. This particular stalker is going to take time to shut down all the versions of this weapon. And so, I'm kind of in a situation where I need to make sure you all make sure I'm rescued. Because if I tried to sue this stalker's company for the return of my estate and for everything that's happened to me, he can just beam the attorneys and the judges and make them just completely forget what they're doing. He doesn't hurt people. He just likes to humiliate me, use the technology to humiliate me and to make it so that, and to prevent me from ever having what it is that I love most in life, and from ever being happy. Whenever I start to be happy again, it starts to hurt me or whatever. It's like makes me fall over, knocks you into a ravine. Okay, and I need to have incredible medical insurance from the government. My legs are going to be broken. I'm going to need reconstructive surgery. It is cutting my face dramatically. I used to have lips. People would tell you that I was a Vogue cover model face before he began doing this to my face. I was married for 17 years to the top architect in Southern California. Literally awarded that, and he would tell you this is literally my body. Like this. This is why I'm having a problem with males and technology using this on me. They can beam into our house. I mean, I just work out. There are a lot of beautiful people out there, and people that don't even care about those things. I'm not really the type to ever talk about these things. But now I have a problem with males beaming into my house and using this on me. People would tell you that this is how my skin was, my complexion, all my skin, and look at what it's doing to me. It's cutting it. Everybody would tell you that's exactly what my face looked like. All my friends, young girls, everybody, when they saw me anywhere, my eyes, what I had done, how well I had taken care of myself. I never, ever, ever went out of the house without a scarf and sunblock and a hat and sunglasses. I'm going to need, it's going to keep doing it, everybody. This is a machine that's methodically dissolving my face. It's like putting my face through a meat grinder. And the pain is just beyond belief. My hands have been destroyed. The computer communicates to me. It's going to now, because it can be reading your thoughts, and as you see things that you don't like about, say, how people have been taking care of themselves, the computer then communicates, oh, I'm going to do that to you. I'm going to do that to you. And it does. This is like, I would never have looked like this in my life. And some of you may be laughing, but you don't know the women in my life, in my family, and how we're taught to take care of ourselves. This is all recent. All of this. It's so painful as it cuts my skin and it reshapes it. without paying. It's like being in an operating room around the clock for years, and it just keeps cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and making it be defaced. It's so horrible. Anyway, I need medical insurance. I don't have any way to earn money underneath. If I weren't being targeted, I would be earning a lot of money, most of which I'd be giving away. But I would not have. I've never had any financial problems until these people on government payroll fail to do their jobs. I need to. They should have to return all taxes taken from me throughout most of my life, because I'll tell my story later. How many times I've had males involve themselves with me in this new weird way. After I did all the research, I realized that these weird things have been happening in my life. They're so against my value system. They're so revolting to me that have been done to me, and these funny little ways of communicating. They can have the computer actually be communicating to you, so anything they want to, while they can involve themselves with you in this new weird high-tech way. I tell you later, but I'll just tell you now that when I moved away from home the first time when I was 17, my first boyfriend at that point, I moved away from home at 17, was the actor Paul Newman's son. Just to give you an idea, people were saying, why are you having problems? It's not just me. A lot of people are. And a lot of you will start to realize you've been targeted. Maybe you are being targeted. And the guy that's targeting you can have a lot of people being targeted all at once. He can forget that he even has this thing latched onto you. He could have died. He could have just had the computer go out and just find a whole bunch of people. But I can't. I really have got to stop this video. I literally. How can you live on $500 a month? My children lost me. The oldest was in second grade. This particular stalker drove by me in 1999, and I was already being targeted by somebody else with it from 1985 to 1999. I knew something was wrong. My friends were saying, you're so different. My life was utterly destroyed. I was robbed of everything. But this particular stalker had the bigger computer and used it to take me and nearly killed me in the months that followed in 1999. Nearly killed me in 4 different ways. He can throw you off of a huge bridge. You can force you to put your face into the flames of a gas stove. It can make you, someone's using it to target, to beam into homes into of beautiful society women. It's making them hang themselves. Celebrities are complaining about how everybody's dying. Somebody's out there murdering celebrities. You think it's an accident. You think that the drugs, it wasn't drugs. Somebody beamed them and made, it can take matter and rearrange it into drugs. You can fill your body with alcohol just like that. Nanotechnology, supercomputers, artificial intelligence. It plans it in advance. It can be reading your thoughts and your value system without you even knowing it. It can be sneaking around your house without you even knowing it. And find out what's important to you. What would you never ever do in your life? A lot of actors' families are saying, we know it isn't suicide. Absolutely something is up. Why did my daughter drop dead in the shower with all these multiple sicknesses? Something's wrong. This supercomputer weapon is able to rearrange the component parts of matter inside your body and can actually turn things into drugs, even though you've never even had drugs in your life. It can make you suddenly have a disease. It can make your skin erupt with all kinds of diseases. It's nanotechnology, everybody. Nanotechnology. When matter is pulled apart by supercomputers, it behaves in ways that are very, very different than real reality. It can alter celebrities singers are being targeted. These singers who, should I give you names? I probably won't at this point, but just let us know what your questions are. There's a male singer who's renowned throughout his career for being very against abuse. He actually divorced his first wife a long time ago because she was abusive, and he made songs about it, about how love is to be kind and gentle and things. Well, he was just arrested for being abusive to his wife, of his second wife. that he's been with for a long time. If you don't know about this weapon, you don't know that this is the new sick. It's for people in technology that have it, and some of them have given access of it to their friends, to be finding out what people are all about, and to be able to, it's like exactly as if they're in their house with you. The computer lets them actually smell, see, taste, touch what your house, everything about your house, and also about what you're thinking, what's important to you. And then it can actually, just like that, make you suddenly start to abuse your children or your husband or your wife. It can make you begin to have affairs. It can change your emotions. This is not clunky control of the humans. It's godlike. It's exquisite control. Instant. There's another very famous singer who's always been known for her optimism, her cheeriness, her positive attitudes. Well, now she's running around complaining about being suicidal and depressed, and her eyes don't look like her own eyes anymore. Begin to pay attention, everybody. Now that you know about this weapon, robotics, it's the complete control of the human operating system by a supercomputer. And there's nothing to prevent a high-tech company from having it. There's no government regulation of the high-tech industry, and there never has been. Despite the warnings of the world-famous scientists Bill Joy and Sir Martin Rees from 1997 to 2001 about how dangerous that industry is, and they also had said the government must now begin to regulate and monitor the high-tech industry in order to protect the populace from these high-tech workers. And it still isn't regulated. And it's just because we don't have cameras in these offices and we have no idea how they're not doing their job. And they are seriously lying to us in there. You can hear the story somewhere else. And blame them all for all the shootings that have occurred since 2007. So they should please also make sure that they have to reimburse my children for their college tuition. I was going to pay cash. That's what I worked so hard throughout my life, is so I could take care of my children. They've had to grow up without me because of government people not doing anything to protect us from high-tech males, using this disgusting new invention on us. And my children had to pay for their own college. And now they're in debt, and that's the fault of these government people. They can certainly go on collecting paychecks, can't they? Well, they let me be murdered by this billion-dollar weapon. I can't work under the attacks. My business is destroyed, and I've been robbed of my homes and my rentals and my huge savings and my poor children. And then, so they should have to. There's a crime victims assistance program that they have in California. If you're a victim of crime, no one told me about this. I had to find out on my own by 2010. I found out on my own. No one told me. Lois Katz, the FBI, the police, all these different Washington, D.C. agencies, Barbara Boxer, nobody. Everybody said, well, I don't know. Go away. It's not my job. And but that program does provide you with housing and food, and your children with college tuition and lump sum payment if they've lost. If their parents have they lost family time because of crime, traditional weapons. And I asked all these people in writing to update the crime victims assistance programs, update Social Security, update all these different things to include citizens whose lives and businesses and estates are destroyed by high-tech males on government contracts for weapons of war. And to do something to make sure that the FBI and the police have to do something about this new crime wave. They all said it wasn't their job. Jerry Brown, the governor of California, said it's not my job to have to do something about the fact that a professional mother in California, who's a job provider, is being slowly murdered by a high-tech worker with this new billion-dollar weapon of the government. Her business has been destroyed. Her assistants have all lost their jobs. They've had to move out of state. She lives in a town where there's no jobs. It's so expensive there. People can't even make it in business. She was making it incredibly well. Her top assistant was earning $150,000. Was starting to earn $150,000 when this high-tech stalker on government contract attacked her, began to murder her. Her children lost her, and it's not Jerry Brown's. It's not his job, he said, to have to do anything about this. What was happening? to my life, and we informed him it's not just this mother, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of citizens in the state of California and throughout the country who are being attacked by yet other high-tech workers with this new billion-dollar weapon that some of the companies are selling to the government. It's not Jerry Brown's job to have to do anything about that. About California, so please make sure that they have to reimburse my children for their college tuition and to compensate them for losing me when they were at age 8, because that is what the crime victims assistance programs do. But I need to be rescued immediately. I cannot. They're taking my. Here I have to pay taxes while I'm being slowly murdered by the government's billion-dollar weapon, and they're going to let me. They expect you to go live in a homeless shelter. And instead of them doing their job to rescue you, if a high-tech male on government contracts murders you and prevents you from working at your businesses and slowly murders you with the government's own billion-dollar weapon, all these people literally don't care at all. Even though on TV they're going to tell you they do, and they're going to dispute this. Good people out there, please lend your support and your friendship. Those of you that know what's going on, I really would like to have some friendship and support in addition to the people that are already helping and keeping an eye on me. But I literally will end up dying. They literally will force me to be in the gutter while they take taxes from me. I have to borrow money to pay taxes, including the penalty they're charging, that I can't work under the attacks. My business is destroyed, but they still want taxes from what I earned before the business was destroyed. And no money for food, no money for anything, no money for rent. And that's where, in the homeless shelters, they're filled with a lot of crazy, really dangerous, crazy, horrible people. And I am a princess, everybody. I am a hard-working person, but I am a princess. I have always had beautiful homes. My story's told elsewhere, fresh flowers in them, clean. I'm a very social person. I have high-end parties. I'm from a very, very high-end background. I do not live even remotely how these people on government payroll have forced me to live. That's why I work so hard. I earned it myself. Some people, it's given to them. I earned everything myself. People will tell you she's a harder worker than anybody you will ever know. On weekends, I'm working. I'm flying across the country to take very advanced courses in investing. I'm working all the time. That's how I ended up being able to earn what I earned. Nobody gave me anything. My father didn't believe in that. So I've earned everything, and it's been robbed from me repeatedly by freaks in technology that are turned on by being able to use this new billion-dollar weapon to beam into my home and to involve themselves with me, and they are molesting me. That's what this guy did from 1985 to 1999. And I know who it is. I'm not going to tell you, because now what we need to do, maybe later I'll tell you, but we need to focus on, if you make sure I'm rescued, that's the really thing. I must be rescued. I need Social Security, or if any of you out there can donate, if you appreciate all the work it took and what we're trying to do to organize the nation, the world, into stopping this crime wave before more lives are lost. Please donate. It's on our website. There's a bank account that's been set up for this purpose. Or if you can offer any kind of help at all, there are lots of people who tell you that it's very safe around me. I'm the only target. It's just the shtick of this. This guy's too crazy to even pay attention. He just locked it onto me and isn't even smart enough. He doesn't focus and can't focus. He's not smart enough. But it's really crazy, immature weirdo. But I think what we need to do, all of us, is to, because there is a little Pandora's box aspect to this weapon. I can tell you all later who has the biggest version of it. And I think, although the world-famous scientists had warned that we only have a 50% chance of making it through this new era because of this weapon, what we've noticed as we've watched, because we can tell what companies have it, what individuals have it. As you watch, you can watch and see, you can start to notice, you can do some research, you can start to realize, oh, so-and-so has it, where they can actually beam humans without them knowing it and change their emotions and their behavior, can steal their knowledge, can cause them to do things that, but I'll tell that story in another video, what we think we should all do is the personality of the people that have it, we think, is such that if we all clobber people in government into doing something about the crime wave, then government in just a couple minutes can shut down, the versions of this around the country and around the world. People can be safe. And we would say that people in technology that do have this, what we've been told is that there is someone in government that's been trying to get government clearance, that's working on trying to get government clearance to do something. And what we've been told is that the minute that you hear about this, that this is going to be stopped, that if you will stop targeting people with it, stop harming people with it, that you'll be treated with favors. And maybe nothing will even happen and just be considered one of those chapters, a learning experience in our country. And then if you don't stop harming people with it, that they're going to chase you to the ends of the earth and throw the book at you. And probably what, as a country, we should do in the world is to just sort of maybe work on shutting it down, the crime wave, so we can all be safe again in our homes. But I'll never be safe. I will never get free, is what Fred Kavli had told me. And it will take, but also I think what we've noticed is that if we all maybe focus on the positive, which is to start to make our country really beautiful in the world, if we all move towards a very positive direction, and we might as well enjoy life, that we're going to be okay. Just the personalities. There are people out there that they seem to just want to be part of us. They want to be part of the world and the country, and they'll probably just kind of follow along and just. But I don't. Maybe if I'm confusing some of you probably understand what I'm saying. But others of you, if it sounds you don't understand what I'm saying, just call your senators and your congresspeople and tell them, and call them right away, because there's right now high-tech workers are out having their computers scan through houses and schools and cars, and they're kidnapping children and mothers away from their families. Young man, it's a huge, huge crime wave. There's nothing to prevent you from being targeted this week, next week, at all. And the computer can be told to go scan through a lot of homes all at once and kidnap a lot of people all at once. So call your senators and your congresspeople immediately and tell them you're going to vote them and their party out of office if they don't instantly do something about this. And then we can address everything else in future videos. And again, please make sure I'm rescued. And if you can help rescue, it would be great. And this is it, our website. Thank you so much. Look for our other videos. Send us your questions. We'll answer and provide more information as they come in. Thank you. Oh, and I'll be tweeting. Please monitor my rescue. Every day's a struggle to survive. This is a $1 billion weapon. Thank you.